Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. A lot of people have been asking me about Collossus lately. I've also been asking me about Skeleton King and some of the other sets, but mainly Collossus and Skeleton King. So this video, I'm going to go over only Collossus and kind of explain the good part and the bad part about Collossus, and that's going to cover Skeleton King too. Now, these pictures were sent in by Satan here. You can see his name right there. And this is how he gemmed his Collossus. Also, he has full set bonus research. So, it's going to be about as strong as it can get for a trap. Now, if you're a bigger person, you can get this a lot better if you have better gems and stuff like that. He don't have the best gems in here, but he does have some decent gems. Some of them I wouldn't have used, some of them I would have used. This actually would not be how I would actually gem Collossus at all if I were to use it. So I wouldn't use any of these gems if I were to actually use Collossus for defense. And I'll explain why as I go through the stats of it. But he does have a pretty decent setup right here. He's got the right idea, but for Collossus, these gems are not going to help at all. Okay, so let's get into the stats and actually explain why that is. Also, his skill tree is set up like my Hero 64 skill tree video, if you guys watched that one. So he's pushing a lot of defense out of skill tree and gems. Let's see. Individual attack between 640 and 670. So that's going to get completely debuffed. These newer sets are running around with, what is it, like 1500 or more individual attack debuff, so that's completely gone. Alright. Trap attack. Individual defenses 2300 on all of them. Alright, so that's not so bad. The downside to that is you can't resist it. I mean, you got a little bit out of research, but other than that, you cannot resist it. There is no kunai for individual defense debuff. So that's the downside to it. The good part is, cores, well, I don't believe there's a custom yet that has been created. I'm sure there will now that I'm saying it, but I don't think there is one that has a bunch of individual defense debuff. I'm sure there's going to be one created after this video though, but right now all the newer cores are running around about 1,000 individual defense debuffs, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think Persis is around 1,000. So it's going to take pretty much half this. You're going to have about 1,300% defense left. Alright, now that would be alright if you had a bunch of extra troops, and you'd be fine to wear this if you had extra troops. You'd be a little bit larger, but that kind of defeats the purpose of actually wearing this set if you're just going to add extra troops anyways. You might as well just stick with Frost Imperial and stay smaller than actually try to wear Collossus and be bigger. Because the bigger you are and you have a trap stats, they are definitely not going to hit you. Especially if they're not going to hit a trap that's half your size with the same stats. So that's kind of the downside to Collossus. It doesn't matter if you have the set bonus or not. You still got to be a little bit larger on the troop count to actually be able to eat a march. Well, eat a full march. You can eat some things in this, weaker marches, because you're only going to have that 1,300% defense left over, and I'll go over that in a second. Individual health, that's completely debuffed right there. This is all research right here. All research. Alright, troop attack, that is completely gone right there. Troop defense debuff 2,500. This is the downside to those gems, also why you only have 1,300% defense left. Alright, let's see. Artemis, Bacchus, and Perseus can all get over 4,000% defense debuff. Colossus does not have a kunai. You only have this 20% defense debuff resistance. So even if you debuff 20% of what they're hitting you with, let's say they have 4,000 exactly, and you take 20% of that, they are still taking every bit of your defense. So you are only left with 1,300% defense. They're taking 1,000 of that, and you got 1,300 left. They're taking 3,500% of that, so you're negative 1,000 right there, which doesn't really affect you, but they are taking all of this, so that is completely useless, and that's why I said I would not gem my Colossus that way. Also, I would not set my skill tree that way, because on the Colossus it's taking it all. Now, if you are a bigger person and you got the gem set bonus research and all that, you can get this a lot higher and you'd be fine wearing it, and they probably couldn't debuff it all. But for a trap that doesn't have all that research, and they don't have room to build billions and billions and billions of troops because their power would be too large. For a trap, Colossus is not the best set to use. You're going to be a little bit larger because your defense is so much lower. Health bonus, 600%. That's going to get debuffed completely. That's all research around in there. Let's see, enemy attack debuff, individuals, 275. That'll help a tiny bit, but not a whole lot. None of that's helpful. 411 troop attack debuff, somewhat. That'd be a tiny bit helpful. Troop defense debuff, that'd help you kill it a little faster, but that's not going to save you troops. Health debuff 322, that'll help you kill a little faster, but again, it's not going to save your troops. Then you got your watchtower. Okay, now let's go over how I would actually gem it to make this a little better. Also, your skill tree would be a little different if you're going to do Colossus. Okay, so let's go back through the stuff that's actually going to help you. Individual defense individual defense. You want that in your skill tree, and there's no gems for it, or I would say gem it for that, but there's no gems for that, so only your skill tree is going to help you there. None of this would be helpful to gem or skill tree it for that. Okay, individual health, that's completely gone, so don't even worry about that on skill tree or gems, and none of that. Don't bother with it. None of that you can actually gem for or anything like that. Troop attack, that's gone. Don't bother with it. Troop defense, that's gone even after it's boosted. That's with gems and skill tree and all that set for it. Don't bother with it. Just leave it alone. And you can possibly get that a little higher as a trap with better gems and stuff like that, but it would still be completely debuffed, or at least majority of it debuffed. As a trap, you cannot get this stat high enough on Colossus, or Skeleton King might be a little different. I will need to see stats on that and look at it a little more, but I don't think it can either. It might be able to, but I don't think it can. It's not much better than Colossus defensively. They're both about the same, sorta. There's a few stats that are off. But you don't want any of this on Colossus. That's just going to get debuffed unless you're a bigger person. Then you might be able to make that a little helpful. But for a trap, that's not helpful at all. Troop health, just leave that out. Let's see. Enemy attack debuffs. I don't think there is a gem for that. Not for those. But for this, you can gem it for troop attack debuff. That will help you some. That'll make your gems a tiny bit helpful instead of completely useless if you gem them for defense on Colossus. So gem it for attack debuff, defense debuff, health debuff. All your debuffs are going to help you a tiny bit. So, but on Colossus, that's all that you can really gem it for. That's not going to be completely useless. If you gem it for any of this, all this stuff is gone, guys. How much troop attack debuff do they got? I don't remember the exact stats on troop attack debuff, but I know it's well over 300%. So that is completely gone. Defense debuff, they can get well over 4,000, so that's gone. Troop health, 600%, that's completely gone. They've got over 2,000% on Persis, I know that much. And then all this isn't going to resist enough to save you any of this. So that is completely gone. So for Colossus, you are focusing on, well, for your skill tree, you are focusing on individual defense debuff. I keep saying that. Individual defense and troop attack debuff, defense debuff, health debuff. And for gems, you are focusing on attack debuff. You can use those rally attack debuff gems, defense debuff gems, health debuff gems. Although, if you guys have the health debuff gems, that would help you more than the defense ones. Because when people hit you, they're usually stacking more health than defense. So it would help you more if you got more health debuff. So to clear up the confusion, I probably got a little confusing there. For the skill tree, go for individual defense, attack debuff, health debuff, and then defense debuff if you have it. Full set bonus, 5-piece set bonus. That's about it for, yeah, I think that's about it. So your extra points you would use on trap stuff, or I mean, you could do the defenses, but they would just get debuffed. You could do the rally march speed debuff, ransom, just fill it in stuff that's going to be helpful at least a little bit. Now for gems, you want to go for all debuffs. If you gem it for anything else, it's not going to be helpful at all. All this is just going to get debuffed. All that's just going to get debuffed. And you can't gem for that, I don't think. No? Like, yeah, you can gem for that a little bit. But it's just going to get debuffed. You can't gem for that at all, I don't think. And then all that's just going to get debuffed. So, gem for debuffs if you are going to use Colossus. But me personally, I would use Frost Imperial instead. At least full Frost, full Imperial, something like that. That you can get a lot of troop defense on. Splitting your defense like this, guys, makes you weaker. Especially as a trap. For a bigger person, it doesn't really matter. They got so many troops, it don't matter. But if they were to wear Frost Imperial, they would be a whole lot tougher and never be zeroed. But it doesn't matter because they have so many troops. But for a trap, you don't want all those extra troops. You don't want to make yourself weaker. So this set, and Skeleton King, and Sola, and all that, is not going to work as well. It can be used, but you're going to need a little extra something. You're going to need to set up your skill tree and all that other stuff a little bit different. Alright, so if you guys need more explanation on this, or you would like to see a skill tree video on how to set it up, just leave a comment or contact me and I will help you out a little bit. Hopefully this was helpful, guys. Hopefully I didn't get too confusing. I tried to make it a little simple. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I will see you in the next one.